Hi there, cadets. Today we're going to talk about how to assemble a clarinet and how to hold it properly. It's a fairly simple procedure, but there are some things that could be difficult, so I'm going to simplify them and make it as easy as I can for you. Step one, you need to make sure that your case is right side up, and that's the big part. Just make sure it's right side up. Okay, open the case, and what I want you to do is to take your reed out of the case and start moistening that in your mouth. Just go ahead and move it around, and you need to do both ends of it. The whole reed needs to be moistened. So I'm not going to do that just because it'll be very difficult for you to understand me with a reed in my mouth. So I'm going to set that off to the side, but that's what I would be doing. Okay, now let's discuss the parts of your clarinet. Whoops, sorry. Starting at the bell. This is the bell joint. Okay. And then the next piece that would connect to that is the lower joint, followed by the upper joint. This is the second largest, the lower joint being the largest, and the barrel, and the mouthpiece and ligature. Okay. What I like to do is just start with the bell and the barrel because they're larger, and it's a little easier to hang on to. So I'm going to set my case off to the side, whoops, and get out my cork grease. Cork grease can come in a variety of methods. I have just a little tub. Sometimes they look like they're in a chapstick tube. I'm just going to rub a little bit of this on my finger, and then I'm going to apply it to the cork on the lower joint. So there's only one cork on this joint, on this tenon. So I'm just rubbing that around. And I want to show you how to safely grab a hold of your clarinet lower joint. On this side of the bottom portion, you'll notice that there are no keys. On this side there are. You always want to avoid touching these rods that run up and down the side of the instrument because you can cause some serious damage and bend things, and then your clarinet will not play properly. So what I'm going to do is take my palm on the part with no keys, and then I'm going to push these pads down, and that's how I'm going to grab a hold of the instrument. Notice I'm not moving the keys, I'm not trying to move side to side with them, I'm just pushing them down. So I have a firm grip, but I'm not touching the rods that move up and down on the clarinet. This will prevent any damages that could occur. So I have a firm grip, but no damage. Now that I've moistened this tenon cork, I'm going to take my bell joint and I'm going to gently twist the joints together. And that's all there is to it for that section of the clarinet. Now I'm going to set this piece down. I like to do the upper joint and the barrel next just because it gives me a little something to hang on to before I have to assemble the two larger joints. So again, I need some cork grease on the smaller part of this joint. Usually it's going to be right next to some kind of insignia or the label. And again, you want to be careful not to grab a hold of any of the rods. I'm going to just kind of grab on spots that don't have any keys. And then I'm going to apply some cork grease to the tenon. The tenon, the word just means the joint where they connect. So I've got enough cork grease there. I'm going to take my barrel, and again with a twisting motion, I'm going to join the two pieces. So now I have the barrel and the upper joint, and the bell and the lower joint. What I like to do is hold the bell and the lower joint, and then I kind of do an altered version of it, and I hold these two keys in place just to make sure that I've got the joint in my hand. And then with the upper joint, I hold mostly on the barrel, but again holding those two keys down, holding them in place. Okay, this key and then this key. I'm pushing them down, not trying to move side to side, but that helps me to kind of get it started. You'll need to apply cork grease to the upper joint. And then there's actually, I lied to you, there's a key that you need to be aware of. So on the back side of this, you'll notice that there's a lot of places with no keys. I'm going to put my pointer finger there, and then this key right here, the middle ring, or the second ring, I guess closer to the cork, I need to push that down because if you look carefully, there's a little piece that moves. That mechanism, if you don't put it down or don't push the button so that the mechanism goes up, again you can cause damages. So I'm going to carefully just push that key down and hold on the back side with no keys, so I'm not bending anything again. And then the lower joint, I want to make sure that I don't engage this mechanism. So you see that key that's moving? We don't want to push that because we want it to stay down. So I'm going to hold this closer to the bell. So here's this. I am engaging this one. And then I'm going to use again a twisting motion, twisting these two joints together, and you need to watch that mechanism. So I'll get as close as I can here. With this mechanism right here, where the two come together, you want them to join together. So there we go. Should look like that. Okay, so that's the majority of your clarinet being put together. I'm going to set that down, and I will next put on a little cork grease onto the tenon that holds the mouthpiece, and again with a twisting motion put that on there, and then I will zoom in closer to show you how to put the reed on the mouthpiece. Okay, we're going to talk about how to put the reed on the mouthpiece first. What you're looking for here, this is your reed, and it has a couple of components. In the middle here, this is called the heart of the reed, the tip of the reed, and the butt of the reed. Okay, the tip of the reed is very delicate and you want to avoid touching that at all costs. This portion should be very moist, and you really want to have this part moist, and even the butt end of the reed as well. Go ahead and like put it in your mouth this way and then put it this way and flip it around. It needs to be very moist. Now what I want you to do, take your mouthpiece and ligature. The screws should always be on the bottom side going to the right. Some of them are inverted and you'll see them like upside down, but the screws are still going to the right, so that's normal. On this particular one, the screws go here, and when it's all said and done, it should be right about in the middle, a little bit here and a little bit here before it starts to decrease. Okay, so I'm going to flip it over this way, taking my moistened reed. I'm going to lift my ligature up forward just a little bit so that I can get the reed underneath, and slide the reed underneath the ligature. The tip should line up with the tip of the mouthpiece, and you should have just a little bit of black to show, like a hair's width, just a tiny, tiny bit. It's kind of hard to see on the video camera, but that's about what you should be looking for, just a tiny, tiny bit. And then you look down here. Do you see how the reed is not lined up at the bottom? It needs to be. So get that lined up. Make sure the tip is in line. I might need to move it down just a little bit. Okay, lined up. Still lined up pretty close. Pull your ligature down into where it's supposed to be. Look at the back. I probably need to move it down a little bit. So I'm going to loosen my screws some so that can happen. Pull it down some more. Check the back. It's pretty good. I'm going to call it good for what we're doing right here. I always start with the bottom screw, and once you start to get resistance, slow down. Like I just got a lot of resistance right there. I'm done. Do the same to the top one. Just started getting resistance, just a little bit more. Don't over tighten because you can break the screws, you can damage the reed. Okay? So, little bit here. Lined up down here. Should be about in the middle. Now we're going to stake some cork grease. Just a little bit. Moisten this part. And I'm going to grab my clarinet, and the reed side should line up with this register key right here. Twisting motion, and you might need to hold it up here. Reed lining up with the register key. So really quick, bell, lower joint, check that mechanism right there, upper joint, barrel, mouthpiece. We'll go the other way. Reed, ligature, mouthpiece, barrel, register key on the upper joint, lower joint, checking that mechanism again right there, and the bell. Okay, now that we've learned how to put our reed on the mouthpiece and how to assemble the instrument, I need to discuss a little bit about hand placement before we go into deep detail. I teach the primary 6 fingers. We start with the left hand. The first 3 fingers, index finger, middle finger, ring finger, 1, 2, 3. Those go up on the top of the instrument, and I'll go into depth later. The thumb goes on the back, covers the hole, and eventually pushes a button. The right hand is 4, 5, 6, pointer, middle, ring finger. Those go down on the bottom half of the instrument. Pinkies rest on these keys, and your thumb is going to go by the thumb rest right here. So again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, we'll zoom in and go in depth now. Okay, for this portion of our tutorial, I'm going to teach you how to hold your clarinet and then how to sit with it. So remember the fingering system 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. The first numbers are on your left hand, the second numbers are on your right hand. So what I'm going to do is show you the left hand first. We're going to grab our clarinet, and let's actually start on the back side with the thumb. So you use your left thumb, it's going to hover over top of this key, it's going to look just like this. Eventually you're going to need to be able to adjust up here and push this register key too. Okay, so on the other side of the instrument, I've already kind of put my hands on it. You're going to have a finger on the first 2 rings and then one to cover the hole. Okay, it's very important that you use like the meaty part of your finger so that you can actually cover and seal those holes. If you don't seal it, it looks kind of like this, you'll actually squeak, and that will not be a pretty sound that anybody's going to want to listen to. And your pinky finger, you can rest it on this key to start with. 1, 2, 3, 4. No, I'm sorry, that's pinky, not 4. And then thumb on the back side. Okay, now for the right hand, we're going to rest our thumb right here on this pad, right here, this thumb rest. Flip it over, and you have finger 4, 5, 6, one on each of the rings, 4, 5, and 6. And then just rest your pinky here on one of these keys. It doesn't matter which one. And your left pinky should rest on one of these 3 keys. So one more time. 1, 2, 3. Pinky rests on this key to start with. Thumb, register. 4, 5, 6, pinky on one of these keys, and place the thumb on the back here. Okay, now that we've assembled our clarinet, we figured out how to put our hands on the instrument, let's talk about how to hold the instrument. I'm not going to review the fingers because we just talked about that. So, I'm going to grab my clarinet, put my hands where they're supposed to be, and for now, I'm not going to talk too much about your facial makeup just yet. What I want you to do is put your top teeth on the black part of the mouthpiece. Your bottom lip, I want it to cover your bottom teeth just a little tiny bit, and then just bring your corners forward just a little bit. This is not very specific about your embouchure right now, which is your face, but we just want to get a good posture first. So top teeth, bottom lip, corners, and then your bell should be, I always teach, just a little above your knees. Okay? And this is a good seated position for you. If you were to stand, you would do the exact same thing, just get rid of the angles at your knees and your hips. It's a very simple process. The seated and standing should be very similar for all woodwind instruments. Okay? All right, I wish you the best of luck. We've covered a lot of material, so just go slow, and if you have any doubts, just go back and watch another portion of the video. If you have any questions or concerns, please feel free to email me at the address listed below. Good luck, and keep at it.